The challenge faced by correctional officers in special housing units. The sounds of those heavy steel doors slamming shut with the echoing silence. Get this, every 12 minutes a correctional officer in America gets assaulted. That's an insane statistics, but for officers working in the most insane part of the prison, the special housing unit, it's not a number. It's their everyday reality. In some prisons, a crazy 70% of all attacks on staff happen right here in the special housing unit. This is the place where tension is so thick you can feel it. And every single thing an officer does is a massive risk. This isn't about watching inmates. It's about surviving a place built to hold the most dangerous people in the entire prison system. Now get this. You probably heard it been called the SHU unit, Special Housing Unit, the Hole, or maybe the Block. But whatever you call it, a special housing unit has one job: to keep certain inmates away from everyone else. These people are dangerous to be housed with other people, they're too disruptive, or in too much danger themselves to be anywhere else. But what about the officer who has to walk these halls? They walk these halls every single day. What is it actually like for the men and women working inside these concrete boxes, juggling the laws, human psychology, and constant insane danger? This is a raw look of the daily war they're fighting, a war that isn't fought with armies, but with following the rules, being hyper aware, and a mental toughness that most of us can't even imagine. We're going to uncover the massive pressures, the hidden dangers, and the huge personal toll of a job that happens completely in the shadows of our justice system. Now, the daily grind, a world of unseen pressure. For an officer in a special housing unit, the day starts way before sun is up. But it's not that early alarm clock that gets you up. It's the crushing weight of what the day is going to throw at you. The places itself is a weapon. Imagine a crazy mix of non-stop shouting, banging, and screaming. And suddenly, it goes completely silent, which is somehow even more terrifying. These jobs is a routine of pressure and pure extremes. 1 minute is boring. Cell count, passing out food, security checks. The next is a total chaos. Officers are dealing with the people who have long histories of being violent. These are inmates who have attacked staff and other inmates before, and now they're all packed into one area, in one building. This creates an environment with unbelievable safety challenges for the officers. This is not general population. Here, almost every interaction is confrontation. Every door you open, every food flap, every food tray you pass through the slot, every time an inmate leaves the cell is a moment of extreme risk. The stress is insane and it never stops. Studies and officers tells a scary story: huge rates of burnout, emotional exhaustions, and a state of hyper-vigilance that you literally can't turn off when you go home. The super strict command and control way you're doing things, which you have to have for safety, can create this us against them war that just drains everyone. This constant exposure to threats and violence takes a crazy toll on officers in these high-stress units, are way more likely to have both physical and mental health problems. They say the field is less stress and way safer when they move to easier units, which just shows how uniquely brutal the SHU unit is. It's a daily grind where the number one goal isn't just to keep order, but literally making it home alive in one piece. Now, the legal tightrope procedure as a shield. In the insane world of the SHU, an officer's best weapon isn't a baton or pepper spray. It's the rule book. Every single move is controlled by a massive web of regulations, laws, and policies, all there to protect the safety and constitutional rights of the inmates. Working in an SHU unit is just as much as a legal game as it is a physical one. Putting an inmate in SHU has to be legal, justified, and constant review. And what does that mean? An insane amount of paperwork. Officers have to write down everything, every event, every conversation, every decision. That isn't just busy work, it's a legal shield. In a place where inmates can make accusations and easily as they make threats. A perfect detailed report is an officer's ultimate defense in these buildings. Inmates in the SHU unit has the right to due process, which means hearing and reviewing to see if they still need to be there. Officers are a huge part of this, giving testimonies and reports that decides the outcome. They're constantly walking a legal tightrope, making sure every single rule is followed perfectly to stop lawsuits that could destroy the prison security and even get them fired. This mountain of procedures just adds another layer of stress on the job that's already crushing them. It takes a whole different kind of focus. Trying to remember complicated rules while managing a physical explosion environment. One tiny mistake on a form, one shortcut on a procedure can cause a massive ripple effect way beyond the unit itself. The need for perfection is absolutely on the workload, and it is unbelievable. The human element managing minds in this crisis. If you look past the violence and the paperwork, you'll find the craziest challenge in the SHU. The human mind, being locked up and isolated in a nightmare for mental health and both the inmates inside and for the officers who manage them. A huge number of these inmates in SHUs already have serious mental health issues, and research is clear that extreme isolation makes them so much more worse. This puts correctional officers on the front lines of a massive mental health crisis. They have to constantly watch for signs of mental breakdown, from depression to anxiety to full-blown paranoia and psychosis. Officers are often the very first people to see the inmates spiral out of control. They have to work with psychologists and mental health, medical, to make sure these inmates get their mandated mental health checks. But that's not often enough training in crisis intervention or de-escalation. So they have to rely on their gut instincts to handle these people who could snap at any given second. Our prison has basically become mental health hospitals, and SHU officers are the gatekeepers nobody asked to be. Being exposed to this level of intense psychology, suffering messes with the officers lead to. It leads to something experts call emotional numbing. It's a defense mechanism just to get through the day. And it gets this. Study has found that correctional officers can get PTSD at rates even higher than the military veterans coming back from a combat. The trauma of the job is directly linked to depression, anxiety, and shockingly shorter life span. On average, a CO's life is 16 years shorter than the average American. Working in an SHU means seeing the absolute worst of human behavior and suffering every day. It's such an insane physical and mental breakdown that many officers refuse to even work in these units. And some have reportedly quit on the spot after getting assigned to these posts. This is not the part of the job that's not about the rules or security checks. It's about the heavy human price of being locked away.